Hey guys, I'm Rashi Himalio and today I am comparing these two palettes. Which one should you buy? Which one is better for brown skin tones? Of course, keep watching to find out. Now, both of these are purple eyeshadows. I love purple eyeshadows, but purple can be problematic. And I'm gonna say straight away, both of these palettes have their pros, but they also have their cons. So let's have a chat. Now, I'm going to first show you the swatches of these two palettes. I'm just going to insert a picture where you can see the differences between the two palettes. Huda Beauty has 3 purple eyeshadows and Juvias Place has 5 purple eyeshadows. Okay, so let's talk about some specific shades. So Juvias Place palette, as you can see, looks really stunning. There's a lot of purple in here. Of course, it's a purple palette. My favorite shades in this palette that actually look really good on me are this rose gold shade right in the middle here, this beautiful purple, and then this purple here. Of course, the matte shade, which is great to smoke out the outer edge of the eye. So it's really 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the 4 eyeshadows from this palette that I've really enjoyed using. Now, I don't particularly like these 2 eyeshadows. There's 2 parts to it. One, it's personal preference. I don't think lilac eyeshadows looks good on me. They just tend to wash me out. They also, this one shade here doesn't exactly have the right payoff, so I can use it as a transition shade. It does work for that, but as a standalone shade, it's okay. Then this shade is very, very bright. It's almost like an icy lilac shade. Again, it totally washes me out and I just don't like how this looks on my skin tone. Now, like I said, it could be personal preference, so take that with a grain of salt. But other than that, the rest of the shades I love from this palette. Now, this deep, dark, beautiful matte shade doesn't blend effortlessly, so you do have to work just a little bit harder to blend this shade out, and that shouldn't really be a surprise to most of us because purple eyeshadows, specifically purple matte eyeshadows, can be very difficult to formulate and can cause issues when it comes to blending. I think they still did a very good job and I can absolutely work with this shade. It just means I have to work a little bit harder to blend this shade out. So overall, a good purchase. Then let's talk about the Huda Beauty's Purple Haze. Now this palette I really only picked up because I tried the Khaki palette and I totally loved the Khaki palette. I've done a video on that, so I'll link it at the top if you haven't seen it. The purple shade that it has is this bright purple right here, which is really beautiful. I really love this purple. I think it looks great on brown skin tones. Then we've got this matte shade. My problem with this purple matte shade is that it's just not deep enough. Now I'll be showing you look with this palette so you'll be able to see what I mean. It just doesn't have enough pigmentation. Or should I say, it's actually better off as a mid-tone purple matte shade. Definitely not a shade that is deep enough for brown skin tones to add depth or smoke out that outer eye. And there are no other matte shades in this palette that you can really use to smoke out your outer eye. So that's kind of problematic. So when I was working with this palette, I actually really struggled because I love to smoke out the outer edge of my eye and just having this wasn't enough. And then this shade right here, this is a gorgeous shade. It's that scattered shimmer finish and it has a lot of gray in it. So you get a background of basically this shade with a mix of gray and then a little bit of lilac shimmer. It is a beautiful shade. Now I did struggle to use this shade on my skin tone. When I popped this on just on a bare eye, it made my skin look a little bit drab. I don't know if that's the right word, but I just didn't like how my skin looked with this shade. I felt like it looked really dull. Instead, how I've actually made this work is what I've got on my eye at the moment, which I think looks really nice. So what I've done is done a bit of a smoky eye. So I've got this shade all over my eye and then I've applied this shade right on top. Now, if you wanted to bring out the purple flecks, the purple lilac shimmer in this shade and kind of reduce how much gray shows through. The best way to do that is really pick up that shade on a flat synthetic brush like this, something like that. You want it to be really flat. And a setting spray, any setting spray will do. You spray this brush with the setting spray and then go into this eyeshadow and then apply on top. I found that the best way to pick up this eyeshadow. You can of course use this with your finger, but I found that with my finger there was less payoff and there was more gray. I got more of those grayish purple undertone and less of that lilac purple shimmer, but using with a setting spray I got more of that purple shimmer. So if you have this palette or you've already bought this palette, just know that you can absolutely make this color work for you. Then we come to these shades. I don't understand why this palette has two light shades like these. It may work for other skin tones, but for brown skin tones, these shades just don't show up on me. I can use these to diffuse out the edges of eyeshadows if I've gone in too strongly, which is unlikely because we don't have a strong shade in here. So that's a moot point if you're just using this palette. But you can use these shades for that. But having two of these shades, I just think it's kind of pointless. I think it would have been better if we had kept just one of these shades and added in a darker shade. Something a lot darker than this. Something maybe a deep brown, a deeper eggplant shade, burgundy, anything like that would have been better than having two of these very light shades. And then of course you've got this brown shade, which is a really nice brown. It kind of reminds me of a chai latte. It's that type of brown and it looks good. It works as a transition shade for me, and I can also use this shade all over the eye and it gives me this really soft brown look, and I've enjoyed that. Then these two shades right here, I don't think they're particularly unique. I have other palettes in my collection where I've got colors like these and they are beautiful, they look great, but nothing quite unique there. And then we come to this shade. This is beautiful. Oh my God. This shade has this rosy gold. It's not fully gold, but it's kind of like a rose gold or a rosy champagne shade that looks really beautiful on brown skin tones. So when I popped this baby on, wow, I was in love, and I actually really wanted to do a look with this, but I figured, hey, this video is all about the purple, so I should just do a purple look. My most favorite shade in this palette, and of course after that shade, this shade is my favorite shade. So I'm just going to insert a quick video doing an eyeshadow look, one with Juvias Place. So I'm mainly using this shade right here and this shade, and I use a little bit of this as well. So these are the three shades that I'm using from Juvias Place, and on the other eye I'm going to show you that a look that I did with this beautiful purple and this shade here, and then I use this shade as a transition shade. And let's see which eye look you prefer. So for this first look using Huda Beauty, I'm taking that transition shade and just running that across the crease. Then I'm going in with that matte purple shade and applying that in the outer V. And you can see straight away that it has that hint of purple, but it's definitely not that dark. And I'm just gone back in and building up some depth with that shade. And now just slowly blending this out. It's a gorgeous shade, no doubt about that. Now I'm picking up that purple shimmer and applying that across the lid. This purple shade has a lot of shimmer. It does sparkle on the eye, looks quite pretty. Just going back in and slowly building up that intensity with this shade. This shade has a lot of fallout. Now I'm going back in and just trying to intensify the outer V a little bit. But as you can see, it doesn't add too much depth, but it still looks quite pretty. Now I'm taking that very small Morphe definer brush. It's not with setting spray, it's just a dry brush, and I'm just cleaning up and going up to my crease with that shade. And this is what that unfinished Huda Beauty eye looks like. Now I'm going to do the other eye with Juvias Place, going in with that lilac shade. And this is a shade that doesn't really show up on me. So first application, you can't really see anything. Second application, it does build up, and you then start to see some color. And then third time, you can see how much I'm taking on that brush. It's quite a lot. And you can finally see a color using this the third time. Now I'm going with that beautiful dark matte purple shade and applying that to my outer V. Straight away you can see there is a lot of payoff. I'm also really only picking up this product very lightly. The thing with these matte shades is that you want to make sure you go in light layers and not deposit too much product, because then it gets really hard to blend out. So I'm going back into the palette and just slowly building up that intensity. And now I'm just blending this out. I'm not including too much blend in this video, otherwise this is going to be a very long video. Going back in just to show you that I am building this up in layers. Now I'm going into that beautiful purple with my finger and applying that on the lid. This is a beautiful metallic shade. It doesn't have any shimmer, so I just want to make that clear. It has no shimmer, no sparkle. It's just a straight up metallic shade. It's really beautiful, and look at that punch. It definitely gives you impact. I love this color. It's probably my most used purple shade from this palette, and I'm just applying that all over the lid. And now I'm taking that little definer brush and just cleaning up that color. The good thing with this shade is you're not going to get any fallout. So this is a look from the Huda Beauty palette. It's beautiful, it's light, it's sparkly. I think it's a great purple eye look for the daytime. What do you guys think? Now this is the side with the Juvias Place palette. You can see it has a little bit more impact because the outer shade is a little bit darker, the purple has more intensity, and so I think the Juvias Place is more of a nighttime smoky eye purple look, whereas the Huda Beauty's one is really more for daytime. So just sitting back a little bit further away so you can see what the Huda Beauty one looks like. I think both of these are really gorgeous. And then of course I'm switching over to Juvias Place, and I do love how the Juvias Place gives me a lot more intensity. But again, both of them are gorgeous. It's really hard to pick one. So what did you guys think? I think both of the eye looks that I did with these palettes, so Juvias Place and Huda Beauty's Purple Haze, I loved both eye looks. I think they both look great. So which palette should you get? It really just depends on what you're looking for. If you are committed to purple, you really want purple and you want to make that commitment, I suggest you go with Juvias Place. It has beautiful purples, and one of the good things about this palette is that there really isn't any fallout. So you can do your eyes after your foundation and you will be fine. There's no shimmer shades in here. They're just beautiful metallics and the colors really pop. You saw that smoky eye, and yeah. If you do the same eye look but with this shade, it gives you a totally different look with a different tone of purple. Because this shade has a little bit more blue to it. It's like a blue tone purple. It just looks stunning. So if you're committed to purple, I suggest you pick up Juvias Place. Now, if you're not so committed to purple, you want to try purple, you want to have a few purple eyeshadows, but you don't want to buy a palette that's just purple because you may not find that you will use a lot of these purples. In that case, I recommend that you pick up the Huda Beauty's Purple Haze. And what I do like about Huda Beauty's Purple Haze, it's very wearable. This shade that I've got at the moment, that's a very wearable look. And of course, that's this shade right here. The look that I did using this shade, again, you can wear that during the daytime and it will look great. And apart from having these 3 purple shades, one of the good things from this palette is it does give you a little bit of diversity. You do have all of these shades here to create some different looks. And so you're not stuck with a palette that's just purple that you may or may not reach for all the time. So if you're someone who just wants a splash of purple, you're not really committed, then I think this is a good palette. Just a heads up though, this palette does have fallout, both with the matte shades and with the shimmer shades. So the matte shades, I was a little bit surprised that it has fallout, but I forgot to mention my Khaki palette also has fallout. And I think that's just the formula. The formula is, it's a nice matte formula, but it will give you a little bit of fallout, not too much. But the shimmer shades, they tend to have a bit of sparkle, and that sparkle, whoa, that kind of goes all over your face. So I highly recommend that if you're going to pick this up, you do your eyes first and then you do your foundation later. Or of course you can use eyeshadow shields, which I don't have. I really want to purchase those. I think they will be life-changing. So both of these palettes, in my opinion, are good palettes. Not great, but they are definitely good palettes, and I'm happy to have both of these. Now, what if you're someone who wants both? Yeah, you can get both, and I think if you do want both of these palettes, I don't think you'll be disappointed, simply because the purple tones in both of these palettes are very different. You're not going to get any shades in here that actually overlap. They all look very different. So even if you decided to opt for both of these palettes, you know, you're not gonna have the same shades. I really hope that this video has helped you deciding what type of purple palette you're looking for. I'm actually really impressed with Juvias Place. This is my first time trying out palettes from Juvias Place, and they're really stunning. They stand out, shall we say. And I do have the other mini palettes from Juvias Place. I've got the nude, the berries, and the chocolate. If you want to see looks from those, let me know and I can do a video on these. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell, and I will see you guys in my next video. See ya!